Hey Tekken players, I hope you're all doing well. So this is a quick video guide aimed at new and indeed veteran King players, and I thought I'd share my opinions on what I believe are some of the options you might want to consider when landing a heat engager. Before we go on, I just want to say a big hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. My personal ambition was to try to hit 2,000 subs by the end of Tekken 8's first year of release, and to be already pushing against that milestone in less than 2 weeks of the game's release. Well, it's just absolutely crazy. So let me just say a huge thank you to all of you for all the support with the likes and the comments and the views. It means a lot to me, guys. Thanks very much. Now, before we get too much into it, just to let you know that some of this video I will be mentioning the idea of frames. If you're unfamiliar with what we mean by this, I urge you to watch my frame guide video I made for Tekken 7, which is, to be honest, just as relevant as it is for Tekken 8. Now, it's nothing too scary, but we do need to discuss frames at some point in this video. So let's talk about King's heat engagers. Now these are two of his strongest in my opinion. The first is the shoulder tackle, which is forward 2+4. Now this is a mid, so it can't be ducked, and it has a decent amount of range. And best of all, it's actually now safe on block. However, although it's quote unquote safe, you are at -9 frames and right up next to your opponent, which isn't the best place to be as they basically now have a free mix-up. And to be fair, it does also come out quite slow. The better engager, in my opinion, is 4-2-1. This has ridiculous range and it's 15 frames fast, so it serves as your long range whiff punish and for punishing moves that have a lot of pushback on block, like Paul's Death Fist for example. It's also safe on block, but the second hit is a high, so a smart opponent will duck and launch you for this, so don't spam it mindlessly. Okay, so now we've established the heat engager, let's talk about what happens when you land it. Well, as you can see, the opponent is put into a stunned state where they are now at -17 guard frames while you dash up right next to them. Well, trying to keep this as simple as possible, if the opponent is at -17, the universal kind of fastest move for any character is a jab or down jab, which is 10 frames fast. However, if they're already at -17, this means that in theory, if I do a move that's 26 frames or faster, then my move will beat theirs, as in their jab or their down jab. Now for context, there's not many moves in Tekken that come out in 26 frames as it's considered to be pretty slow. Hop kicks for example come out in 15 frames, so you can see why being this close to the opponent with 17 frames of advantage is pretty damn significant. So this sounds amazing, right? I mean basically I get to do whatever I want and they can't do anything about it, right? Well, hold your horses there. This is Tekken, which means that the smart player always has other options, and we do need to talk about exactly what we do now and what we want to do with King to press the advantage. So with all that out of the way, let me go through some of the options I've been looking at and what I think their strengths and weaknesses are. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I've got to show you one thing, just look at this. So seriously, if you have a look here, of all my viewers, only 8.2% of you are actually subscribed. I mean, seriously guys, what the heck's that all about? I mean, my YouTube channel at the moment brings in about enough money for me to buy one coffee a month, but if some of you would actually hit the subscribe button, that could go all the way up to perhaps 2 coffees a month and possibly even a donut. So come on, you know it makes sense, hit the subscribe button, do it for the orphans. Also, big shout out to my Filipino audience, love you guys. So, given the fact we're playing King, the obvious choice would be to go for a throw. Now, Giant Swing is his fastest throw as it comes out in 10 frames, and we can buffer it while we're running up to the opponent, so it will come out in 10 frames. If the opponent tries to press any button, the Giant Swing will beat it. If they try to step, the Giant Swing beats it. If they try to backdash, the Giant Swing beats it. If they try to activate Heat Burst, the Giant Swing beats it. And you've guessed it, if they try to activate Rage, the Giant Swing beats it. So there's only 2 options they could do. They either correctly break the throw, or they commit to ducking. So we need to come up with some more options to how to deal with these. Let's begin by those who will break the throw. So how do we beat it? How do we stop them breaking this throw? Well, my suggestion would be to go for another throw, and in this case I would suggest Muscle Buster, which is called Circle Back 1+2. Now like Giant Swing, it would beat all other options except for ducking or breaking the throw itself. But the vital thing about Muscle Buster is it has the exact same animation as the Giant Swing. The break is not the same as the Giant Swing, so this is a true 50-50. They have to guess, they cannot do it on reaction. The other nice thing about Muscle Buster is that it actually gives more guaranteed damage than the Giant Swing because they can't take the landing. And it gives better Oki as they're on the ground and King has got his back turned stance to them, so we've got lots of mix-up potentials here. So if you want to go for a throw mix-up, those would be my 2 options because they beat all other options except those who commit to ducking. We do have other crouch throws as a possibility, but I'll get onto these in a little while. So let's talk about those who just want to commit to ducking. Now, if we know they're going to duck, then one option would just be to go all in with the heat smash. If it hits, it gives a significant amount of damage. If it's blocked, it gives some nice plus frames and another potential running mix-up. The only real drawback of this option is that once you've used your heat smash, your heat bar is completely gone. You can no longer use it and you can no longer use any heat options King has. So what about if we want to deal with people ducking but we don't want to commit to the heat smash? What other mids could we use? Well, first up we could do while running 3. This is a great move because on hit it gives a guaranteed follow up for a little bit of juicy damage, and on block it gives some really nice plus frames which can set us up for another throw mix up. However, this option has some drawbacks depending on the status of the player and their character. So what do I mean by this? Well, number 1, it can be sidestepped by certain characters who have a really good sidestep. 2, if they haven't used heat yet, it will lose to heat burst because they'll armor through it. And finally number 3, if they have a rage art available, this will also beat it unfortunately. So what other mids might we want to consider using? Well, the option I would go for is forward 1+4, which as you all know is Justice Nipples. Normally the main weakness of this move is it has poor range, but after the heat engager, you're right up next to the opponent. Again, they can't step this, they can't backdash, and the heat and rage options won't come out in time. On hit you get good damage and good frame advantage, and on block you still have great plus frames, so you can continue your mix up in your general pressure. So I feel like this is one of the better options to go for a mid check. Now I mentioned earlier the possibility of going for crouch dash throws which lead to massive damage if you know the right commands. Now these are pretty good, but they also have their weaknesses. They obviously can be broken if the player hits either 1 or 2 on the right break, but also super strong players can fuzzy guard this and in effect sort of duck on reaction. Now I'm not one of those players, I do not have that sort of skill, but I do listen to those who know about it, and the likes of Lil Margin, who has said that he has played against people who will fuzzy guard this mix up. Also to mention, heat burst won't come out in time, and actually more often than not you'll score a counter hit throw, but unfortunately rage arts will beat them. Now there are mids you can use out of crouch dash, which you can use if you think they'll duck, but there's a few problems. The main one you want to use is crouch dash 1+2. Unfortunately this is weak to sidestepping, heat and rage options will beat it, and unfortunately it's -10 on block. So it's only really good if you know you have a hard read that they're going to duck while you do the crouch dash. So in summary, if you want to go for a throw mix up, my suggestion would be either giant swing or muscle buster. If you want to go for a mid check, go for
Justice Nipples.
As I mentioned, the other options are viable depending on the situation. For example, if they had a bad sidestep or they have no access to heat or rage, then while running 3 might be the better option, but you're going to have to just take that as it goes in the match. Thanks all for watching. I hope that helps you with understanding King in the heat state. Now just to clarify, these are all just my own personal opinion from the very limited amount of testing that I've done. So if there are any other options, I'd love to read about them in the comments below, so feel free to drop them down there. If this video has helped you, please drop it a like to appease the YouTube algorithm gods, and if you want to see more Tekken 8 and King guides, please consider subscribing to the channel. All the best everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.